What's good, everyone? Anderson Emerald here to talk about the Tokyo World Championships and give my predictions for the men's 200 meters. Now, this is going to be very interesting because we have a bunch of guys who are going to be doubling back from the 100. We have some newcomers who have dropped some insanely fast times. We have some consistent athletes who are kind of like quote unquote pure 200 meter runners who have made various finals over the past couple years. And all of these are going to be converging when we do get to that 200 meter final at the World Championships in Tokyo. So similar to the previous predictions that I did for the men's 100, the women's 100, check those videos out already. I'm going to dive into a few athletes that I think could make it into the finals, and then I'm going to give you my top 8 all the way through. Now, a couple names here. I have Reina Mena. He's, from Cuba. He's won a couple, Diamond League races and a couple big races this year. On the fringes, you have Aaron Brown. He's been a mainstay, when talking about global sprinting since 2012 was his first Olympic Games. You have Jerome Blake. He just ran sub 20 seconds this year, and I have him as a potential finalist when talking about the 100, similar to the 200 here. Also, Joseph Fahnbulleh. This was tough because he's been very, very consistent over the past couple years, making every single global final, representing Liberia, but just hasn't shown enough for me this year, best of 20.07, to say that he's definitely going to make the final, though he very likely could. Also, Gout Gout. Gout Gout, of course, has been the rising star from Australia. He's run, 20 seconds this year, some windy sub 20 performances, but he is still young. He's still developing. He hasn't competed against, most, if not all of the top guys who I'm going to mention ahead of him. So, fringes, if he makes it into the final, that's a win. If not, it is what it is. He's young and he's developing. Now, here's where I get things a little tricky. I'm gonna be honest, I can flip-flop these next 3 athletes across the board, but I'm gonna give you, the next 3 guys. Now, Robert Gregory. I was very high on Robert Gregory. I picked him to make the team for the United States. He made the team, finished 3rd place behind Noah Lyles, Kenny B, and ahead of Courtney Lindsay. But I don't have him as of now making the final, even though, like I said, he made the team. He's run 19.80 seconds. He's run on a, consistently through the year. But I was splitting hairs, I think, a little bit with the experience relative to some other guys. Along with him, Carly Makarawu. I don't have him making the final, but I'm honestly not too sure. The thing that's interesting about Carly Makarawu is he got 6th place at the Olympics last year in the 200. This year, he was the NCAA champion in the 200 indoors and the 200 outdoors, ahead of his teammate Maka Charamba, who I actually do have making the final. But Makarawu only competed once after the NCAA championships, where he ran at the Hungary Continental Tour meeting and he finished down in 4th place, behind a couple guys, which was that race where Bryan Levell ran 19.6. I think when I was comparing him to some of the other guys, I was just looking for a little more consistency globally. And of course, that experience, 6th place at the Olympics, it was tough. But that's why I say, let me just jump into the top 8. Maka Charamba, again, also from Zimbabwe with Carly Makarawu. I have him actually making the final. But the reason that I'm pushing him slightly ahead of Carly as well as Robert Gregory is because he competed pretty frequently after the NCAA championships this year, multiple times overseas. He went over to France and Switzerland and he actually won 2 races there. He then went to the Monaco Diamond League and finished 3rd place behind Noah Lyles and Letsile Tebogo. He then went to the Brussels Diamond League and he finished in 5th place there. Now, it's kind of down the pack, but when I'm looking at his experience coming off of NCAAs, I just gave him a very, very slight edge. On top of that, he finished 7th place at the Olympic Games last year. Now, I know his personal best of 19.92 seconds isn't as strong as Carly Makarawu, who's run 19.84 seconds, but just that little bit of experience is what I hold pretty heavily. So I gave Maka Charamba that 8th place spot, but honestly, between Maka, Carly, as well as Robert Gregory, even Joe Fahnbulleh, like all of them can kind of be, interchanged for that 8th place spot. But let's move over to number 7 on my list here. Before I continue on with the predictions, I need y'all to tap in with everything Citius Mag. We have a full team on the ground in Tokyo getting coverage for the entire World Championships. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, where we'll get stories and results and quotes and breaking news and all kinds of things almost minute by minute as the championships is going on. If you're not already, subscribe to Citius Mag on YouTube for not only post-race interviews with the athletes, but we're going to have post-race shows after every day of the championships. Eric and Aisha, they're going to be there for Good Morning Track and Field. And we'll probably have a few exclusive interviews with not only athletes, maybe some other people as well. So be sure to tap in for that. And then finally, if you're actually going to be in Tokyo for the World Championships, we're partnering with ASICS to host a few group runs in Tokyo. So go in the description. I got links for everything so you can make sure you're up to date with Citius Mag. We got ya. Let's get back to those predictions. This is where I have Courtney Lindsay, and I have him on the fringes making the 100-meter final. Here I have him making the 200-meter final, but I don't have him getting a medal. He has a personal best of 19.7 from last year, but this year he's run a best of 19.82 seconds to finish 4th place at the USA Championships. What I do like about Courtney is he's very, very experienced when it comes to Diamond Leagues, competing against Letsile Tebogo at the Prefontaine Classic, or even last year at the Kip Keino Classic, going toe-to-toe with Letsile, where he actually beat out Letsile running his PB of 19.7. He also won the Rabat Diamond League earlier this year and was 2nd place at the Doha Diamond League, again, behind Letsile Tebogo. And he did make the team to the World Championships in 2023, making it to the semifinals. So I like his experience across the board, but it was tough to put him ahead of some of the other guys that I have above him, but Courtney very likely could surprise. So 7th place, Courtney Lindsay. Up to my 6th place, this is where I have Zarnell Hughes from Great Britain. He's going to be, I think making it into the final of the 100 and also making it to the final of the 200. Last time in 2023, he got a bronze medal in the 100 and then he finished 4th place in the 200. So to me, I'm not too worried about his ability to actually double in both events. I think he'll do pretty well. Most recently, he ran 19.90 seconds to win the British Championships in what looked like an extremely comfortable race. Literally no one next to him. Solo run 19.90. That gave me a lot of confidence of what he's capable of doing when it comes to 200. He also has a personal best of 19.73 seconds, which he ran back in 2023. So Zarnell Hughes, a very strong contender, and I can see him a little bit farther up if everything goes well. Now, 5th place. This I went back and forth with, 4th and 5th place, being completely honest. And honestly, even to this point, it really could change. I don't actually know if I'm even being fair, but 5th place, this is where I have Alex Ogando from Dominican Republic. Now, he has been a mainstay when talking about the finals in the 200 over the past, since 2022. He's made every single global final, Worlds, and then Olympic Games. I don't see why that's going to change this year. Personal best and season's best of 19.86 seconds, which he ran at the Grand Slam track meet down in Miami. He's also run 19.94. He also has finished very well against, these high quality athletes around the circuit. 3rd place at the Zurich Diamond League final behind, Lyles and Letsile Tebogo. So it's hard for me to not see him in the top 5. I really feel like he even could be top 4, to be honest. He has so much experience. At the Grand Slam track meet in Philly, I spoke with his coach, Felix Sanchez, and he was saying that they are ready. Like, this year is going to be very, very big for them. And I expect him to surpass that 19.8 personal best. I don't think that's Alex's ceiling. I think he can very likely go 19.7, 19.6, if not better. Now, I'm not 100% saying that's going to happen, but I feel like he's capable of doing so. But Alex Ogando, 5th place in the 200. Just ahead of him, again, back and forth, I have Bryan Levell. And I know y'all probably going to be a little bit mad I'm saying even back and forth, and probably a bunch of y'all have him on your podium. But Bryan Levell, to me, first of all, he had a major breakout year. Yes, people knew about him last year, but considering what he did this year, 19.69 seconds at the Hungary Continental Tour meeting, moved him way up the all-time list. That backs up the 19.79 that he ran earlier this year at the Racers Grand Prix with a slight tailwind of plus 2.5 meters per second. Last year, though, of course, he wasn't really on the radar for most people, but he ran 19.94 to win Jamaican Trials. He qualified for the Olympic Games, making it to the semifinals. Again, he was still young, still developing, but he got a little taste of that global championship experience. The reason I was going back and forth between Bryan and Alex for 4th and 5th is because Bryan just doesn't have as much experience, but I give him the edge because I feel like that talent is going to carry him through. Think about what he's done this year, where he ran the Racers Grand Prix, he ran Grand Slam track in Philly, he also ran at the Hungary Continental Tour, and he also ran at Prefontaine Classic. The Prefontaine Classic, as well as the Grand Slam track meet in Philly, were probably the 2 biggest races that he had this year. At Prefontaine, he finished down in 6th place, and this is after the Jamaican Trials. Every time he competed against some of these top guys like Letsile Tebogo at the Prefontaine Classic, he was down the pack. Against Kenny B at the Grand Slam track meet, he was of course behind him as well. He hasn't raced Alex Ogando. He hasn't raced Noah Lyles. So it's tough for me to put Bryan either on the podium, and even I'm teetering on putting him a little bit lower, but I'm sticking with the 4th place position for Bryan because I do feel like that talent is there. You don't run 19.69 seconds seconds without being one of the most talented athletes in the field. You don't run a 9.82 second in the 100 without having, strong chops in the 200. So I feel like he's going to carry himself through to a 4th place position, but I could be completely wrong. Bryan, Alex, Zarnell, Courtney, Maka, they can all interchange for me, and some of them, I think they can all find a way onto the podium if the big 3 actually does slip up. So let's move over to the top 3. Obviously, most people can guess that it's, some combination of Letsile, Kenny, and Noah. Those are the 3 guys who are solid in terms of my personal opinion getting onto the podium in this 200. But let's dive in. First off, Kenny Bednarek, bronze medal in the 200. This is tough because 2021, he got the silver. 2022, he got the silver. 2024, he got the silver. 2023, he finished, I think, 5th place, was, dealing with injuries that year. But now I have him dropping back just a little bit. This is honestly tough. And I'll be honest, I'll go through my top 3. I have Noah, Letsile, and Kenny. I'm going to break down exactly why. I was going a little back and forth with Kenny and Letsile. Kenny dominated the 2025 early season Grand Slam track, going absolutely undefeated through the year. He also went to USA's and ran 19.67 seconds, finishing 2nd place to Noah Lyles. So, of course, Noah is on that end, but Kenny Bednarek is easily one of the most consistent 200-meter sprinters over this current generation, and I'll look back at some point, but he is one of the best 200-meter sprinters, in history, if we're being completely honest. But when it comes to the World Championships this year, I feel like he does still need to take a little bigger step forward to make sure that he can actually surpass Letsile and Noah. And I haven't actually seen that in full this year to give me the full confidence that it's like, all right, when Letsile, when Noah, when they're on, he's going to be ready to actually surpass them. I think he can win gold. I think Letsile can win gold. I think Noah can win gold. All 3 of them are really close together, but just nitpicking a little bit, I think Letsile going head-to-head with Noah a few more times this year gave me a bit more confidence that he's going to be able to get the silver medal ahead of Kenny B, who I have getting the bronze medal. So, silver medal, Letsile Tebogo, Botswana, Olympic champion from last year, bronze medalist from 2023, and he's had an interesting 2025 season where he, ran a couple 400s early on, ran the 200s early on as well, won the Doha Diamond League, the Botswana Continental Tour, but then he got a little injury mid-season, picked up a hamstring injury, but picked things right back up after a month or so off and won the Prefontaine Classic in 19.76 seconds, which was a world lead at that point. Proved to the world that he is the Olympic champion for a reason, and he is looking ready to potentially go for another gold medal. But he then ran at the Monaco Diamond League just about a week later, and he finished 2nd place to Noah, still running 19.97, but he took a little bit of time off after that. Didn't say it was injury, I don't know exactly what it was, but regardless, returned to the Zurich Diamond League, finishing 2nd place behind Noah Lyles, running 19.76 seconds. So equaling what he did earlier this year and essentially proving that he's healthy, he's ready, he's back, and he's focused. Now, I did a previous video already breaking down why I don't think the double is going to affect any of these guys, Kenny, Letsile, or Noah. And I think for Letsile, we saw how he's able to manage the rounds of 100-200 double. Last year, personal best in the 100, finishing 6th place in that Olympic final, and then he goes on to run a personal best in the 200, running 19.46 to get that gold medal. Even in 2023, he ran a personal best to get the silver medal in the 100, and then while injured with a hamstring issue in Budapest, he managed to get the bronze medal in the 200. Letsile Tebogo, I feel confident in his ability to be able to not only get on the podium, but potentially also challenge for gold. Now, I don't have him ahead of Noah, but he has been in some very, very close races with Noah, but I think he's just going to be a step behind. So, Letsile, silver medal. And this, of course, is where I have Noah Lyles getting the gold medal, defending his title once again in the 200, getting his 4th consecutive 200-meter gold medal. If he actually does that, it would match Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt did it 2009, 2011, 2013, and 2015, all consecutive. Noah Lyles would match that with 2019, 22, 23, and now 25. Why? Well, he dealt with injury setbacks early in the year, didn't compete, after he ran that 400, was off throughout May and June, came back in July, his first race of the year, 19.88 seconds at the Monaco Diamond League to take down Letsile Tebogo, the guy who just ran a world-leading performance. Then he went to USA's and took down Kenny Bednarek, the guy who had been dominating Grand Slam track, running a still standing world lead of 19.63 seconds. Finally, he goes to the Zurich Diamond League final, lines up with Letsile Tebogo once again, and runs 19.74 seconds to once again get the win. When we're talking about the 200 meters, we're definitely, in my opinion, going to look back and obviously call this the Noah Lyles era of 200 meter sprinting, I think sprinting in general, but it's getting to a point where I can argue that Noah Lyles is the most dominant 200 meter sprinter in history, just outside of Usain Bolt. Now, I'll probably look more in depth at some point later on, but what he's able to do in the 200, yes, I know y'all gonna say the Olympics and all that, but considering what he went through at those Olympic Games, I don't necessarily hold that against him in his entire career because of how dominant he's been. Whether it's all the sub-20 performances, whether it's the clutch performances, in the 200 at various different championships. He always shows up, he always shows out, and I don't see why it's going to be different here. And very important to note is look at the races that he had with Letsile in Monaco and Zurich, and then also with Kenny B at USA's. He was trailing both of them, but the way that Noah Lyles is able to remain composed, focus, and not tighten up when he gets to the later half of the race, it's almost as if these guys just are not able to catch him, not able to do anything to, surpass him. And forget him, if he gets a good start, which he has that room to do in a 200, it's over. If he gets, off the curve in front, it's absolutely over. So I don't know. Noah Lyles, gold medal, Letsile, silver, Kenny B, bronze, and then down the line, Bryan Levell, Alex Ogando, Zarno Hughes, Courtney Lindsay, Makataramba, and then all the other guys as well. As I said at the top, I'm not super confident between Robert Gregory, Carlo Makarau, as well as Makataramba. Even Joe Famble, like those can be interchanged, but then even the guys above, from Bryan Levell all the way down to Courtney Lindsay, I feel like all these guys can get on the podium as well. But let me know what you think. I know some of y'all gonna disagree, some of y'all are gonna agree. Go in the comments, let me know. As always, check out the previous videos with the men's 100 and the women's 100. And of course, we're gonna have a couple more coming in the next few days. But be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Truly appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.